Hey, hi. This is Yudit Ben Menachem, parenting coach, helping parents of teens improve their relationships. In today's video, we will be discussing communication problems. What happens when we, the parents, want to communicate with our teenagers and they're not so cooperative? They're just not interested, and when we try, they kind of say, "Hey, Mom, get off my back." So maybe in the past your kid was more talkative. He would come home from school and tell you what's going on in his life, and sometimes even talk so much we couldn't take it. But now, since he's become a teenager, it's as if there's some kind of wall that went up there between you. So what do we do about it? First of all, I want to tell you that this kind of behavior is in the norm for teens. It's normal for them to kind of pull away their communication with their parents and move over towards their friends more. Nevertheless, I'm going to give you a few tips. Tip number one. Tip number one is to bring up topics of conversation that interest your child. Usually, we tend to talk about things that interest us and things we want to know about. And when we talk with our child, that's the same. We want to, hear about school. We want to talk about their messy room and things like that. But why don't we start thinking what interests our teen? Is it soccer or baseball? Great. Initiate a conversation about that. Is it your daughter's school trip she's about to go on? Or is it some new fashion that she's interested in? Fine. Just get into their minds and think what would interest them and try and initiate conversations about topics that they are interested in. Okay, tip number two. Tip number two is basically to share with your child things that are going on in your world. If your kid is not initiating conversation and doesn't want to talk so much about what's going on with him, we still want to connect. And if you have something interesting to tell them about what went on at work or something in your life, something interesting or something out of the usual, out of the ordinary or whatever, talk to them about it. Just tell them, say, "Hey, I had like a really interesting day at work today, this and this went on." And the goal of this is just to stay connected to your kid. Okay, this is one way of just staying connected. You're bringing stuff to him. You're keeping him involved in your world. Now, tip number three. Tip number three, in my opinion, is the most important tip. And that is to be sensitive. Your kid comes home from school. Take a look at him. Is he in a good mood? Does he feel like talking? Maybe he had a hard day at school and he just wants to be left alone. We also have some days when we just want to be, left alone and in ourselves, and we don't feel like talking to everyone. So please look at your kid and decide, is this a good time to talk to him? And also, when you're bringing up, you're doing the tips I told you, we bring up, a topic that interests him, or you're telling him about things that are going on with you, just, don't be like a bulldozer, coming and talking and really harsh, because then he will say, "Okay, get off my back." That, he doesn't want that. Try and be a little delicate, bring something up, initiate something, check his reaction, see what's going on. Even if you talk for a minute or two, that's fine. And also, when you're talking about something that happened to you at work, for example, you don't have to tell him a half-hour story. That is too much. You just want to, a few minutes of just keeping that contact going. So this is tip number three. Tip number three is just being sensitive. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it and wishing you great success. Good luck. If you enjoyed this video, call the number that you see now on the screen to get more details. And of course, I'd love to hear your comments. What do you do when your kid says, "Hey, Mom, get off my back"?